Yo. It's been a hot minute since I've done a podcast with a guest and also just on the Four Humans thing, but I would like to welcome Zac Hampson.
Hey everybody, I am Zac Hampson.
This is Zac Hampson. But no genre.
Yeah.
No topics have been discussed prior to this. We're just going to free flow the conversation. So
Indeed.
strap in. I guess the topics probably will range between, say, for instance, fatherhood, because we're both fathers with
Indeed.
daughters that are very similar ages.
Yeah.
Real estate as well, because this man is a real estate agent now and
Indeed.
got some cool things working there. And then a couple other topics maybe we'll get into. I don't know how, but we'll probably
Let it just all free flow, you know.
Free flow.
It's just the beauty of conversation, right? If I just bounce off, listen to what you're saying,
yeah.
you know, and you just bounce off, you know,
Yeah.
just
For
it's
sure.
beautiful.
For sure.
Beautiful.
And then
That's
right at the end, if you stick around, we might have some special news for you.
big announcements. Big
Ooh,
announcements.
Big.
I mean, it's probably full of big announcements anyway.
It's
so
always
but
big announcements, bro. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, this is I sometimes think when I create content, right, I
Talk to
think, especially because, you know, we haven't got a huge audience. We've got an audience, which is actually quite nice.
You
Like,
do.
I've
It's
got a little bit of-
fantastic.
And there has been traction. There's been evidence of traction, but being consistent with creating content is something that we have lacked. Like the Four Humans has lacked, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Life happens, and but I like to think these kind of content, whenever I create it, is, say for instance in a year's time, if say we have so many more new followers, they can come back to these first episodes and actually listen to where we kind of started and what we discussed and stuff like
For
that.
sure.
So
For sure. Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
I've got this interesting man on today, and I
Yes.
want to ask him how you doing today, bro.
I'm
You
doing
good?
excellent, man. Doing
Yeah.
excellent. Every day's exciting. Every day
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to wake up in the morning. I just say it's just such a blessing just to like be a part of life, honestly. You know? You know, there's definitely been times in my life where I didn't feel that way, didn't think that way.
Yeah.
But, you know, thankfully I don't anymore, things like that. And I wake up just feeling fantastic. I mean, you woke up this morning feeling excellent. I walked in
Energy.
here. Yeah, energy-wise. I walked in here, you bounced off the walls here.
Yeah. So
You started just pulling out an extension just this
I
morning.
built this morning. Yeah.
Just this morning.
You can't see it off camera, but there's frames and window frames and stuff like that out there.
That's how much energy you got this morning.
So much energy, and I started at 6 a.m. so it's 9 a.m. now. But just to so I'm off social media. Second day now, which is really cool. It's really been affecting me in a good way, which is nice. Hopefully in the next couple of days it's going to be interesting. But what I wanted to ask for you is you're waking up nice and energetic and just grateful.
Yeah.
Give us an overview of what your life is. Who are you for the audience to kind of capture? This is Zac.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I think majority of people probably would recognize me or know me from my art career, being a professional fine artist on the Central Coast here. You know, works in galleries, cafes, etc. Lots of vlogs, lots of podcasts, lots of things like that. I think majority of people would know me from that. It's only been the last year or so where I've been part of this real estate industry, which I'm very thankful for as well. And so the whole sort of, I think, rewind back, you know, just give you an overview of where I've come from, who I am for everybody here. It's just 3 generations, you know, Central Coast. You know, my daughter.
Sunny Coast?
Yeah, my daughter's the 4th generation now, you know. I think I've got a legal stipulation in my birth certificate that says I can't leave the Central Coast.
Yeah, probably the same, yeah. I try and leave, but I always come back.
Yeah, it's just such a nice place.
Yeah, it is.
So grew up here, raised here, friends, family, all from here, stuff like that. Had that typical sort of experience, as most people do growing up around here, just lots of beach days, lots of cafes, lots of, you know, good friends, good people. I mean, depending on where you're hanging, like anywhere in the world, right?
What school did you go to again?
Greenpoint.
Greenpoint, nice.
Nice little private school there.
So you were growing up around that area?
No, I grew up in Baddo.
Oh, okay.
You know,
cool.
Baddo my entire life. So I'd catch the bus like 30, 40 minutes each way just to go there.
Right.
You know, my parents really bent over backwards to put me in a good school.
Yeah.
so much so that like everything else not suffered, but there wasn't anything really left outside of like, you know, putting you in a great school type of thing, you know what I mean? It's just like, just get that, you know, be in a good environment, not just education, but just be surrounded by like a good environment and stuff like that, which was fantastic. Honestly, I feel really blessed to having done so. I grew up always feeling like, you know, teachers supported me, my friends supported me, family supported me, stuff like that. So I was extremely lucky on that front. Not to say that there wasn't demons to face along the way, right? Like anything in life, right? But just, you know, very fortunate to have that, and I count myself lucky every day to when I think back on that. That's for sure. But going from there, you know, I always had a passion for acting. And I loved being a part of like school plays, musicals, things like that, and just, you know, just free flow improv.
What I must say is, Zach told me a little story before we jumped on this podcast, and
you
like,
want to bring this up?
No, but like, what I will touch on that is, I was like, literally, I was standing right there, and as you were explaining, I was just like, you're such a great, like, even though it was like a truce, like it's something that happened. You're such a great storyteller. You're such a good, like, you articulate it so well, but you add so much depth to it. Instead of going like, yeah, this happened, and this is how it happened. It's like you explained it in a way that I was able to be put there emotionally.
I appreciate that.
I noticed that, and I love that because I love storytelling as well. So, and the conversations that Zach and I have had previously about things and stuff like that, and as you probably can already start hearing, is he can articulate things so well and put so much depth to it that it gives you that sense of
like you really captivated.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I was going to say belong, but like captivated by it. You know what I mean? Which is really, really nice. And I think it's a great feature, bro. Like, I think it's a sick feature to have.
Oh, thank you, man. I think that comes from a lot of my younger days. Just lots and lots of like reading, lots of like story, like fictional books and stuff like that. You know, lots of like Discworld, Terry Pratchett type of stuff, which is an incredible book series. You guys should read that. There's like 50 something books in that series or more. And just, you know, just a love of the arts, like the acting and the storytelling, which is all what it is, especially improv, which is why I can just like talk to people at a drop of a hat and just be like, you know, all the time. And I mean, I'm paid to do that now. But back in the day, like improv, the main rule of improv is that you can never say no.
Are you the young Ryan Sherhan? Sherhan?
Oh, just because he was
an actor, right? He was going to be an actor.
He's trying to be an actor as well, which I resonate a lot with his story on that front because of that specific fact. Because I did for a little bit. I graduated school, and a friend of mine, we started applying for a few places. We got accepted to most places we applied to, acting wise, like NIDA and all these other things like that, and. Yeah, I just, for whatever reason, I just was like, oh man, I don't know if I, you know, like the first second you step outside of school, you go back into school. Like to me, I was just like, oh man, do I really want to, as soon as I've broken away from this, do I want to just dive back into another form of this? Or do I want to see like what else is there to life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's so much that you can do in this world. It's beyond belief. You know, people always say like life's stranger than fiction. And that's the truest statement ever, because it is. And so with that in mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to pull back from acting. You know, thank you for everybody that like said like, I've been accepted or things like that. It's like, it's like you've been accepted. Do you want to proceed type of thing? It's not like you've been accepted, come in. You know, it's like you've been accepted. Here's your thing. Do you want to proceed with this? Blah, blah, blah. That's what they were like. Not like I was throwing it back in people's faces or anything like that. But, and so, that year, I was like, okay, what else am I passionate about? I'm passionate about art. You know, I love painting. I love drawing. I love all these sorts of things. And so that whole year, I just dedicated myself to like, okay, why don't I just paint and put that on social media? And so for that entire year, I was just, you know, painting, live streaming, painting, putting on social media, photos, everything. And then near the end of the year, I got this group reached out to me called the Raw Artists Group or something like that. They put on this like show every year where they get a conglomerate of different artists all over like Sydney to Newcastle way.
Yeah.
So dancers, jewelry makers, photographers, any sort of like creative art derivative type of person, they get them all together and they put on this one night big show fiesta with a stage, so all the performances can happen on the stage. People that sing, dance, act, whatever, they all happen on the stage, and then everybody else is like in their own little booths around in this big auditorium thing. And the thing is, like, you just have to sell like 20 tickets to cover your entry cost.
Yeah.
And so if everybody's doing that, then you know that is going to be a pretty big event, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, but it's like a fantastic opportunity to meet so many different people. So I was invited to that, having done all this stuff. So like I was obviously, people were starting to hear me, which was fantastic. And I was like, okay, great. And rocked up, sold the 20 tickets, and just this fiesta of like so many different people. There was just a hustle and bustle of everybody through there, because like imagine like every person that's a part of the event had to invite 20 people, and there's like maybe 100+ people that are part of the event. Like you can just imagine how many people are coming through that. It's insane. Sure. It's insane. So it was awesome. Like I was standing there in front of all my paintings I did that year, and was just sitting there, just going, okay, hey, and just having these conversations back and forth with everybody, just going like, oh wow, this is a crazy experience. This is a crazy experience. I don't know. Did you need to check that? Or
No,
you good?
Sure.
This is a crazy experience. I've never like had such like back and forth with all these like random people before in my life. So that was a great experience. I ended up selling my first painting there as well. I was just like, wow, this is incredible. So I loved that. And so from then I just started just going like, well, I'll do more of this.
Yeah.
And so I just dedicated myself for the next like 5, 6, 7 years of my life, a better part of a decade, I like to say, into this craft, into this, and molding and shaping this into a real, I don't want to say career, because I feel like that's a bit lackluster, but a real, missing the word, but a real sense of like a passion.
Yeah, I'm feeling you. I'm feeling.
Yeah, you get my energy. You get my energy. You get my energy.
Yeah, you understand.
So that was exciting to me, and I loved it, and obviously like just progressed. I did actually end up going to uni for the National Art School, just for 1 year, because it was very atelier-based type of school.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that you'd have small classrooms, a lot of one-on-one time with like professional artists, teachers, and you'd have a lot of time with live models to paint and draw from. So there's so much practice, and it was Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Sydney. And so I was on the train 4 hours a day, Monday to Friday, just like going back forth, back and forth for a whole year, and then on weekends I was just working my regular job all day, Saturday, Sunday. And so it's just like this whole year, and then plus every like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'd get back from uni on the train on like 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever it was, and then go straight to the gym on those days, and then come home at like 9 p.m. and just just be wasted. Yeah. But it was great. I loved it. It was a great experience. The reason why I didn't pursue that more was that I just there was just too much of a demand for my art at that time. Where it's just like, well, do I want to keep doing this uni shit and be more in debt to the government, or do I just want to go just ham to the wall and just pursue it? And so I obviously chose going ham to the wall, right? It's just like, and from that point, I dove right into it, and just commissions nationally and internationally, a lot of cafe stuff, eventually ended up in a gallery, still do have works in that gallery, Cab Gallery in Terrigal, you can check that out. It was fantastic. And while I was doing that, I was working at a retail shop, Nike, at the time, which was great because, they, for part of their uniforms and stuff, like twice a year, they'd allow you to like pick out any shoes, any clothes that you wanted for free, and they'd pay for that on your behalf for working there. Wow. Yeah, so cool. I've got a bunch of Nike shit at home, which is fantastic because I don't ever really spend too much money on clothes or things like that. And so I was just like, damn, fuck yeah, I've got all this stuff.
Nike.
Yeah, sweet. So I had all that gear and stuff, which was awesome part of working there. But also, what I've come to realize, what was so great about working there as well, is that the sales aspect, and not just the selling of things, but the talking with people one-on-one every single hour of the day, right? Like people would come in, and it's not just like a regular retailer, like, oh, hey, let me look you around. We had to have like standard shoes. We had to actually have product knowledge. We had to do specific training constantly about different types of shoes, different types of clothing, and all the technology that went into these types of items. And so I really had to know my stuff. And there's like, there's rewards and quotas and stuff like that for selling X amount of stuff like that. So that was really great insight into sales and the things that could come from that. But the main point that I now reflect back on nowadays is actually the ability that you grow and manifest from day in, day out, is being able to talk with these strangers that come in just out of the blue. You don't know them, they don't know you, and just chat with them, build a relationship, and in the short period of time that you have with them, and take them along this transactional, for lack of a better word, process. Right, from shoe wall to FPOS machine. You know what I mean? Which was really cool. But it's just the improv side of it. Right, so tying back into my acting, and I'm like, wow, this is just improv, and the main rule, like I said in the beginning of improv, is just you can never say no. And so what I mean by that, by the way, if anybody's never done improv, is that you get up on stage, you've got another person in front of you, the other person's just like, looking out into the audience, like, oh, is that a pirate ship out there? And your response shouldn't be, nah, that's a whale. You've just like shut them down, like cut them off like that. Instead, what you want to do is go like, yeah, that's a pirate ship, and it's got red sails. It's like, oh goodness, that must be whatever, and you just go flow, and it's constant flow, and it's the ability to learn how to just constantly flow and never be a block to their path or to yours. You just want to be in constant free form, right? And that's what having that little experience in Nike, why I touch on that, was important, because then I was able to take that, synthesize that, and bring that into my art career. And because I'm talking the whole people just don't understand this about art. They think if you make it, they'll come, which is like most people's philosophies about a lot of things in life. Which unfortunately it's not true. You actually have to reach out and connect with people, network with people. I met you through my art process and doing things like that too, which was awesome. And what I was able to take from Nike and talking with people was that ability to network and take that into my art and network with people, which is probably the only reason I was able to survive from that sort of stuff, was the ability to network and be able to chat with people. So when commissions would come in, a lot of artists don't have that ability, so they just go, they sort of shrink into themselves and they just compromise on themselves and stuff like that. Whereas, I'm able to have these free flow conversations with people and really, build these relationships and stuff like that. Because if people don't recognize anybody, they don't see the value in anything unless, value is shown.
You've got to show
right?
the value.
You've always got to show value. People will just see, oh, is that how much it costs? Okay, bye. Because it's just like, that's just how much it costs.
Show exactly right,
But the thing is, a lot of people, for most things in life, perceived value isn't going to be there, right? There are a lot of things like brand-wise, people will see a Bugatti, right, drive down the road, and they're going to be like, holy shit, that's a, that's a valuable car, right? They're going to know things like that. There's certain things in life that are like that, but most things in life aren't like that.
But for example, right, like, as you go on perceived value, money, right? You look at money, like you look at a $5 note and a $50 note, right? What's the difference between those notes? There's no such like value of like weight or,
for sure.
Do you know what I mean? We put the value on that,
Oh,
which is like, what's the difference between a $100 note, like a physical note, and a $5 note? What? It's green and it's a little bit bigger, but it doesn't really mean that. Like it doesn't, like it's nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
it's nothing.
We just put value on that, and what you're going on as well, like it's so interesting. I've been reading a lot of books lately around communication and marketing and sales and influence and all that kind of stuff, and it's just, it all comes down to communicating, and that's pretty much it. Just conversation, right?
Yes.
Like, and adding value to someone else's life to then show the value of whatever product you're selling or
Mm.
whatever thing you want in your life. Like, it doesn't always have to be around sale. Like, it's just life. Life is selling.
Yeah.
You got to sell yourself to, get the girlfriend that you want or the boyfriend that you want. You got to sell yourself to,
That book's coming in. I can hear it in your voice, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Sell it like Sirhan.
Exactly right. 100%. Like, and it's just so fascinating. It's so simple, but we overcomplicate it.
That's a great point you make about the money, the perceived value there, because it is fiat currency, right? It's currency that has no intrinsic value, right?
And not
Other
just
than
the
what we
notes
give
as
to it.
well,
Yeah.
but like the digital images, the digital thing on your bank account, right?
Yes.
You might see figures, right?
Yes.
I might see $100,000, or I might see 100,000 digits, like just whatever. And sometimes if you change the language between money and credits, right? It changes that perspective. Like, if I say credits, it kind of like I relate it to a video game. So then it's kind of like, it's more simpler, and it just doesn't like, it's a tool to then use those credits to then buy something that you want. Like, just trade those credits for something that you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
like,
it does. It makes complete sense.
But we put so much emotional attachment as, relating to Ryan.
Yeah.
You can never control what's in someone else's bank account, but you can control their emotion, because people put so much emotion into money, right? Because money, unfortunately and fortunately, is what makes the world kind of go around. Really, like, if I want to get food, I have to buy food with money.
Yeah, or pay for it with your time.
Or
right?
I've got to pay, but I've got to pay for my time.
Yeah.
To then get the money.
Live.
To then get the money to then buy the food. I can't really trade my time to get the food.
Not most of the time. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, don't be wrong. Like,
I was just thinking in the simple terms of like growing the food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in
But yeah, I get what you
world,
mean.
it's so
like the transactional thing. There's no like, hey, you don't go into McDonald's and be like, can I pay with this with a $5 bill, or can I wash dishes for a second? They're not gonna allow that trade off, right?
No,
they're just like, no, bro, we don't need that.
Yeah, I think these systems. I'm sure it used to be like that. I'm sure it used to be like, hey man, can I please borrow $100 and I'll clean your house for a week, or can I, whatever. Or you pay me. You're trading your time for the money, and then it just goes back to like, it's just a job, right? You just trade money for time, like systems and stuff like that. But then I'm coming on to selling. It's like you've got to show the people that value. And why they need it in their life. Yeah. I mean, if you want to push this, if we're talking about selling, you know what I mean? Because it all comes.
I know what you mean.
But
I know what you mean.
It's like this podcast. It's like this brand. It's like, we need to show you the value that's in this brand and product. Yeah. For then you to continue consuming it, or there's no point. We could just be like, here's a podcast, and this is what we do. Yeah.
Absolutely. The idea you brought up about the fiat currency made me really think about it. It's just like, well, that's, interesting thought to follow through, because it's like, well, it doesn't have any value other than what we've put onto it, right? And so it's like, well, has that translated into a lot of things in our life because of that? Have a lot of things been affected by that, because it's just this idea of value rather than the actual value that it has, intrinsically of itself. Like, exactly like you just extrapolate that and you go like, oh, maybe there's a lot more things than just that in life. Maybe because of that we've based our society on this imaginary thing, that some other things have been affected by that too. It's interesting to follow that thought. I don't know.
And I feel like it's one of those things, if you think about it too much, your brain just explode, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's sometimes like a situation where you kind of have to, you can either complain about it and you will get nowhere with it, or you can just kind of, you can't wrestle with the beast. You're not change. This is so far gone. You can't. There's no one that can change this system. I mean, the power that would have to take to change it would be astronomical. Like, literally, the whole world would have to explode, reset, and that's, you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, why bother complaining about, like money and this and money. So it's like, just work, and if you want money, go get money. If you're gonna complain about it, like, you're not going anywhere. I'm sorry, and it's just the reality of it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful segue into the last bit of my sort of story for everybody listening. Is that so? Obviously, my days now very different to how they were back then when I was a professional artist. So what ended up happening was I had we had our daughter. Before that, I met
We
this
had
beautiful.
we had a daughter.
Yeah. Before that, I met this beautiful woman, Avalon, and we fell in love.
Brownie points.
Yeah, we fell in love and ended up, getting engaged, and we had this beautiful baby girl in 2020, January 2nd. Everything was looking incredible. I just signed up with a new gallery. My whole life was like set in stone for that year at least, with commissions and gallery and all this sort of stuff. So it was looking fantastic, right? But at that time, we were having some really bad bushfires, so that wasn't looking fantastic. But everything else for my life was looking great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as we all know, fast forward like 2-3 months, this whole COVID shabacle happened. Or maybe we can bleep that out because I don't know how YouTube will happen.
COVID.
Yeah.
No, COVID happened.
Yeah. But so obviously everything that was set in stone, exhibitions, selling works, transporting works, every blah, 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 anything you think of just fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Right. Thankfully, I get paid 50% up front for my works. So it's not like I lost everything, but, I lost the whole entire, pipeline, so to speak, right? Like, that's it, it's all gone. Now what?
Exactly.
And so I'm like, God damn, well, that just happened. And just as I had, just as we've gotten engaged, just as we had our daughter, like, it's like this couldn't have come at a worse time. And I'm sure people around the world, like, this happened at an even worse time for some people, right? Like, you can only imagine, right? Life is stranger than fiction, right?
Yeah.
And so
life is stranger than fiction.
Absolutely.
Put
So
that on a t-shirt.
yeah. And so that happened, and which I was like, well, shit, I still wasn't kind of accepting that it's like all done, and at that point it's like, well, I'm still like hammering away, trying to turn the cog a little bit, keep it cranking a little bit, but nothing's sticking. Like, people are just gone, right? They're just too unsure about the bigger things in life.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as like a sort of natural disaster kind of happens, right? So rewind to the fire, like, all the artists like band together, and we put on lots of like fundraisers and all these sorts of stuff. Like, we're usually the front line of like producing these fundraisers and producing these things. So we're usually the front line for these fundraisers, right? So when these things happen, but then the whole world collapsed, and then it's like all of a sudden everybody forgot about the artists. Everybody forgot about them because like there's quote unquote, there's bigger things that are happening, right? And so the first things to get forgotten about is the art world, right? So everybody in the art world, like all my dancer friends, like just like that had shows.
A lot of creatives, man.
A lot of creators. Everybody got screwed. Like everybody did, but just I felt like. Maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but the creators just got like screwed even more so because it's just like everything's gone. There's no subsidies coming our way.
Oh no, definitely.
There's no subsidy.
Like, I mean, like relating, like, and I think that's Zach's such a creator. I'm like creative, like doing video, photo, and also cutting hair, being a barber. It's actually like for some people, it's actually a creative job being a barber.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
It was all put to the side. It's like the only things that kind of stuck around were the frontline workers, like teachers and doctors and nurses and like people that worked at like Coles and Woolies, like the places that you need to get your food, right?
They even call them essential workers,
essential
right?
Workers and stuff like that. And it's like, it's kind of I get it, I understand it. Like no one really needs to get a haircut. To
just
feel
tie it
good.
up, bro. Just tie it up. Tie
it up. You know what I mean? It's he's got longish hair there now, which is good.
I used to tie it up. Yeah,
exactly right. But I mean, it's still kind of like put like a. I mean, like we're lucky in a way of like photographers and videographers. Like we're living in a digital world where that kind of stuff, like you could still do. Limited what you could do, and you were kind of essential because you needed to create content for people to promote stuff for their business and stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. But even then, it kind of made you feel like, well, what is it really worth me doing this creative stuff in this world? Because we kind of just pushed to the side. It's like, there's no point. Do you know what I mean? But I find that's when, but creatives, right, have always been the ones that are the innovators, the ones that have, change the world for the better, or come out with like, when I look at Elon Musk, right, like, he's an engineer, right, but he's also a creative person. Like, he has to create that from his mind and changing the world, for a better way. And I mean, Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh,
But
100%. 100%. So
100.
I get that completely. So you understand exactly where I was coming from, right?
Yeah.
Like you were there as well, right? I mean, everybody was, but
yeah, everyone
you
was there.
you
but
felt
yeah,
that perspective.
No, you do. There's that like, look, we ain't complaining. We're over it now. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
I'm
but
only
like,
using this as a vehicle to step into what else I was talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, and I think this will be the next, like, into the next part of your life, like what you're doing and
massive,
stuff like that. It's
massive,
it's such an
massive.
interesting. I want to ask the question.
Yes.
We'll just jump straight into it.
Yeah.
Why did you move into real estate? What was
it.
that? Let's move into that.
That's exactly. This is the crux of why.
Part 2.
This is why I began talking here. Okay. So sorry for such a long-winded explanation, but
we're at the arc.
we're at the arc
We're
here.
at the arc.
So I had to
Storytelling,
I had to prep you all for this.
Yeah, storytelling.
And so obviously everything fell off the face of the earth, right? And so I have a young daughter that's just been born. She was born 2 months premature, so we lived in the hospital, Royal North Shore. We lived on site, taking care of her for a whole month. And then thankfully, she got up to a weight where she could be transported and taken back to Gosford. And then we semi-lived in Gosford, semi-not, thankfully, because we live around Gosford. We could come and go a little bit. But for the next month after that, we spent that time, again, just making sure she'd make weight so that she could be discharged. She needed to make 2 kilos. She was born at like 1.25 kilos. So it was that whole time was just getting to that weight. Thankfully, there was nothing else that was wrong with her. So that was stressful in that time as well. Thankfully, that was before COVID happened, by the way. So all the hospitals and things like that was super breezy. Like there was no headaches, there was no nothing. It was so like I could only imagine how terrible that whole situation. While it was so like hard to go through, I could only just imagine how so much harder it would be now going through that with all these restrictions. Crazy. Anyways, I digress. What I'm getting at here is like everything fell off the face of the earth. And I'm trying to make things keep on happening. They're not happening. It's gone, and I have to accept this fact.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, shit, okay, life as I know it for now, at least, is not going to be the same.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm a father now, a husband. I need to, provide for this family, right? I'm the head of this family. I need to make sure these guys are taken care of. And so what do you do when you're faced with those things? You've got to pivot, right? You got to pivot. And so I'm like, okay, I can't go into anything. I can't put my life into anything that is just making money for the sake of money.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I have to have some sort of like vision for a future. Yeah. Something that I can build, something I can grow, something I can like really make into something. Yeah. Right. Something that's like really tangible for me. And that's just who I am. And so I was looking around. A friend of mine happened to be doing real estate up in Queensland. And he just started. And I was like, hey, man, how's that going? What's that like? He's like, yeah, it's good. He's good. He's just like, what it is just, we find people to be friends with and then we maintain friendships. And I'm just like, that's what I did with my art.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, that's exactly what I was doing with my art.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I can do that. Let me just learn all about this. And so I'd always been interested in the investment aspect of it, for the growth of a property and being able to take equity from properties and do all sorts of fancy stuff, financial wise. But I never learned that anywhere, and there wasn't anywhere to really teach that. So that was also a great opportunity to learn all that, as well as being a great pivot point for me to take care of my family, right? And so I was like, okay, let me just Google real estate. Like where does any good person start about any sort of research? Just like Google. Go straight to YouTube, go to Google, whatever it is.
YouTube University.
Yeah, I'm just fucking just straight in there, just like real estate, and then just watching a bunch of stuff, and then I fell onto Ryan Sahart, right, and all his YouTube stuff, and then I like picked up his book and I read his book, and then I picked up a bunch of other sales books and I read those books, like Never Split the Difference, fantastic book, as well. And just really dove into this, trying to learn about it. And I was just like, okay, this is interesting. I could do this. This is, I could do this in the standpoint of like, this is what I already do, like connecting with people, talking with people, having relationships with people.
It's cool that just quickly on that, just this little side note. I think that with your prior experience with what you're doing with your art, like you had that ability to connect with people. I think some people that when they go into real estate, they don't understand the aspect that the job isn't to sell a house. The job is to create relationships.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
byproduct is selling the house.
The byproduct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I get
feel
you,
like
I
the
get
end
you.
goal is to sell the house.
Yeah, of
Or
course.
to whatever, and help someone buy. I mean, you're not a buyer's agent, but so
Yeah,
like, you know,
I'm helping my client, my
yeah,
vendor,
helping your
sell the
client,
house.
blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, a lot of people don't understand. Yet again, it goes for everything in life. I could relate it to me being a barber as well.
Yes.
The more relationships and the more good relationships that you have, the byproduct of them buying your product or you selling something to them is the payoff, right?
Exactly.
So I think a lot of people that go into becoming a real estate agent, they miss that. And then,
They miss it big
They
time.
don't last.
They don't.
last.
They don't. The life cycle of a typical agent is about 5 years, because the first 2 years, 2 to 3 years, is spent heavy prospecting. This is prospecting.
Yeah.
No offense, but it's just like you're cold calling. You're trying to outreach. You get to this level where you've got so much business where blah blah blah. You know, you can't manage like continually outreaching, so you just have to manage the business you're at. You start to plateau, and then because you haven't been getting more business, like you haven't been doing the work you used to 3 years,
Yeah.
you've plateaued, you're just managing the business you have, you start to decline like this 4 or 5 years, and then you're just like back at rock bottom again.
And you're just like, and then you haven't got the motivation to kind of
Oh,
get
God,
going,
no.
right?
Yeah,
You're just
yeah.
like, I've been doing this for 5 years, I should be able to keep what's going on? It's just a shit market. It's like, dude. No, it's
So
you.
this is oh man, I want to pivot into something else after this, but this works so good for what is happening, what your ideas with this whole thing is as well. So I jumped in, right? What that looks like is you've got to go get a certificate of registration. So you just fork over $500, do a course for like a month, 2 months, however long you want to take it, or however long it takes you to complete it. And you get your certificate of registration. And then I got that, looked around, applied for a few places, got something back. And I was like, great, went in for an interview, got the job. And so what that looked like is they just sat me down at the desk and they're like, here's the database, here's the area, good luck. And I was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, okay.
In the deep end.
I was like, great, all right, I'll just work this out. And I was sitting there in front of this computer, looking through everything, going like, all right. And I'm like, I'll just take a walk and talk to people. And so I did. So I walked around the whole neighborhood, was knocking on about like 250, 300 doors a day. And by the 9th day of me working in the industry, full stop, I happened to knock on this fantastic man, Noel. He's awesome. I knocked on his door, we had a chat, and he's been trying to sell his house like last year. We got talking, and long story short, listed his property, sold his property for an excellent amount. He was so over the moon about that, but I got my first listing in 9 days of starting.
Wow.
And that's just by purely going out there and talking with people. And so that even more so emphasized the fact of it's all just, communication with human beings. And so
just on that quickly there
Please.
as well, do you notice that could be something that aspiring people that want to become real estate agents is to do? Had you noticed that, because you've seen some people come and go,
I've seen a lot of people.
have you noticed that they haven't put the work in, like what you just did, going and knocking the doors, or they have, or?
Yeah, on that subject.
Do you know if you know what
no,
I mean?
I know exactly
what
what you mean. In the last year alone, I've seen like 12, 13 people come and go.
Yeah.
And I've been like the only human being in my office to survive. Full stop.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for lack of them reaching out to people, talking with people. It was just more so they couldn't cope with rejection, right? Because it's like, while I say I knocked on 250, 300 doors, and I still do today, most of those doors are just people just rejecting you, full stop. Like, at simplest form, it's like they're just rejecting you. They're saying like no to you, no to whatever you're offering, no to your time, whatever. Like, it's just like it's all this. Imagine all the rejection you could ever imagine in your life, like in a normal person's life, just synthesized into like your typical hour.
Yeah,
I'm
going to add something on that just quickly. A little side note here. I've been reading a lot of books lately, and I feel like reading is
Yes.
just like helping my knowledge so much. So I literally just finished a chapter last night on the book of like the power of influence,
yeah.
right? And it
Yeah.
talks about rejection.
Oh, nice.
Talks about the power of no, talks about rejection,
Mm.
and talks about a few of those things. Anyway, just quickly, and I was explaining to Hannah last night too, and she's just like, I don't care. And I'm like, I want to talk to you about this. It's so interesting. I mean, I love you, Hannah, but she was,
If you're
So-
not interested, yeah.
just a quick hot topic on rejection, right?
Please.
They did a study with rejection. It really does, it can hurt you,
Mm.
and it actually triggers a response of physical pain from your brain to your body
Yes.
because it's a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
So what they did was, right, is they did an experiment with 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
They told 2 people to just play, like they were throwing a ball between 3 people. They said after 2 minutes, stop throwing the ball to one person. And they didn't tell this one person that they were going to do that. Anyway, they had all the, like they had stuff around their, other things on their brain, like to measure activity that was going on in the brain. So when they got the rejection response, they wanted to see where it was coming from.
Mm.
Anyway, so they started doing this experiment where they're throwing the ball to everyone, and then they stopped throwing this one person. Anyway, after a while, this person was kind of like, why aren't you throwing it to me? Like, I'm feeling rejected. Like, you know, I'm not a part of the crew anymore.
Mm.
Hence, back when we were Homo sapiens.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like if you were rejected from the tribe, that meant that meant death, because like you were like, how do I survive? I needed to be around crew, needed to be accepted in life. Most of the stuff that we do in life is from those early ages of who we were.
With the tribe.
Yeah. And I am getting to a point here which will really help you, because it helped me reading this and understanding this, and I'm sure you could add on to this as well. So with rejection, right, what the results they found from that study is it was coming from the prefrontal cortex of where the pain receptors are. So if you get punched or hurt or whatever it is, that place in your brain goes off.
Yeah.
Same as rejection. They found that when they were getting rejected, like getting hurt, they were like, why am I not a part of this? And you can physically feel the pain and whatever, even though you're not really physically pain.
No, I get you.
But what they explained is they did another study. This other person was door knocking. They were trying to sell charity tickets. They were doing all that kind of stuff. And that's why I really think doing door knocking is such a great exercise to exercise that rejection.
Yeah, baby.
It's like going training, right? When you've probably first started, right? Or when you first started getting rejected in your life, you're probably like, this kind of hurts, you know what I mean? Whatever,
For sure,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? But do you feel like you can tolerate it heaps more now?
So excellent topic on that is actually going back to my art days, right? You have to have thick skin to be an artist. Like you pour like, you know, parts of your soul into these paintings.
Yeah.
And for people to not like them, it's just like, damn, bro. Like if you can't cope with that, you can't make more paintings.
Yeah. I think an element of that, especially because I create wedding videos or create content, if they don't accept, because it's something coming from a creative aspect, it's a part of you, and I feel that hurts a lot more. But I feel like if, say, for instance, you're trying to get a yes for someone to say, I want to buy, I want to sell your house.
For sure.
They go, yes, sweet, that's cool. Or if they say no, it's not as
that's it.
Personal, because it's kind of like whatever. But just to add on that, you have to exercise like you do when you work out in your muscles. Pretty much you have to exercise rejection. So they just quickly on this is go out and ask people for requests all the time, and just the most oddest requests, right? The oddest things, right? I want you to go to a cash register when you're at Coles, right? Go up to the person and be like, "Hey, can you also tie my shoes?" Or something like that. Or can you do something outrageous, and just hear them say no. And understand that no isn't personal. They just don't want to do it. Like, they just don't want to do it. That's not on you. Anyway, it was just very interesting about the rejection thing. So
absolutely.
And on the door knocking thing. So it's like you just have to you can get better at accepting rejection in
100%,
life.
100%.
Because you're not going to die.
No,
literally, that no is not going to kill you.
Not in this day and age. No. You're not going to be rejected from the tribe.
But anyway.
So
that just made me spring on.
No, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, no, that's so good, man. To touch on that is like having come from the art and having such thick skin, like iron hard skin, towards rejection or towards
Yeah.
like negative comments or anything like that. Coming into real estate, people reject me. I'm just like, oh, this is fucking nothing,
It's
bro.
easy,
like
right?
this is
Yeah.
like this. I'm like, I'll take this all day long. This
Yeah.
is like people like, oh man, I've taken so many people out door knocking. They go like, oh man, that person was so mean. I'm like, bro, I don't know about that. They were really nice.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, but
100%.
it's because I'm coming from this standpoint of like the art world. Like getting rejected there hurts billion times more than like somebody saying no to your face, or you do get the rare people that will cuss you out or just awful because they're probably having a really bad day themselves.
You've got to
they're having a bad day, you know. They're just having a bad day.
They're going to forget about you in 5 minutes.
Absolutely, it's nothing to do with me.
Yeah, it's nothing
You know,
to do with you at all.
well,
So.
usually, bro. Usually, there are some people out there that are just
I mean, some but
can't take the hint.
Yeah, yeah, but,
Yeah, but,
on that, it's like
But 100%. So the rejection in that was nothing compared to the art world. So I had a great advantage coming from that into this, being like, because like I said, I was dropped in the deep end. It's like, there you go. Good luck, you know.
yeah,
And so I was knocking on doors, not knowing what to say or not knowing anything. And I was just being like, hey, did you want any real estate assistance? That's literally what I asked. And and thankfully nowadays, like I know what people want to hear and what people don't want to hear, what's wasting people's time and what's not wasting people's time. In saying ask people for like the craziest things just to get to know, that's great exercise. But what I also find, when you're being serious about it and not just doing it for the exercise, you want to be serious about it. It's actually thinking about coming from a standpoint of like, how can I, knock on this person's door or talk to this person and just give them something like that they'd appreciate, not just ask for something. I want to just always be in this mindset of like, how can I help this person? How can I give to this person? Because that's the only way you're ever going to succeed, at least in this industry, at all. Is from operating on this mindset of like, what can I give to this person? What does this person need? How can I help them get to that point?
without the exception of getting something back, I feel.
Oh, for sure. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, like, you have to disregard that completely. Like, obviously I need to make a living, I need to do all these things, but you need to realize first and foremost, you're at a service industry. You're in a service industry.
Yeah.
You're always, service is front in mind, right? And what does service mean? Service means like finding out what people need, what their wants, what their hurts, what their anything is, and seeing how you're able to bridge the gap between like their pain point now into like a pleasure threshold, right? Like somebody's like, for whatever reason they've broken their back, they can't go up and down the stairs anymore. They really need a place that's just flat level, flat everything. They can't manage this big house anymore. Like, so that's their pain, right? It's like, okay, well, if I find the perfect place for you, do you think we can switch over to there? Like, I'll help you do that whole process. And it's just like, oh my god, if we can do that, that would change my life, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like, a family
I'm like
member's-
already starting to
Yeah.
I'm already starting to picture like how a conversation like that would go. Like, you wouldn't
100%.
go, hey, I want to sell your house, I
No.
want commission. You'd be like, hey,
Shit.
are you enjoying living here? Like, are you like
Yeah.
to a point where it's just like, is it still capable? Are you still
Yes.
capable of living here? Would you like
Always.
something to look for? Say, for instance, you go, hey, I mean, you can correct me. I'm not a real estate
Yeah,
agent,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like I could be a great real estate agent, right?
I'll bring you in. You can try out a few days.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm become a real estate agent. Not a,
We'll
yeah.
do a vlog.
Imagine
Be good.
that. Can we say?
Yeah, we can.
Cool.
Well, there's some legal legislations. I can't let you do some things, but
Yeah, for sure.
we'll go on.
Can we start can we start like an alternative kind of like real estate agent?
In
With tattoos and
terms,
shit?
oh yeah, but it's just like in saying that, the reason why I'm hesitant in saying that is because people's perception and your image
for sure.
are probably the biggest thing in it, because I only have maybe 2-3 seconds to make an
Yeah.
impression of this
Oh,
person,
big time, yeah.
and you don't know how they perceive the world.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
you want to do everything in your power to be such a
Not
n-
fake,
n-
but
not-
like
not
a stripped
fake.
back version of.
but like you want to emphasize your best qualities. You want to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? But you also don't want to unnecessarily provide any road humps that may or may not come up in the forming of a relationship with this human being. Right?
Because I feel like just on that as well. Like I got a good friend, client as well. He's a real estate agent. Well, we slightly discussed this a little bit because he's got tattoos, sleeves and stuff like that. But he wears long sleeves, and he was explaining the other day that he was at this listing at this place where he was like talking to the client, and it was like a 1.3 million or whatever big listing there, and he's just like his arm slipped up a little bit. His like things slipped up a little bit, and the clients were a little bit older, and like the woman kind of like he noticed the woman kind of like looking at his sleeve, kind of like looking like that. Yeah, and he was just like. He said things like that because people have these perceptions and these ideas, and it has nothing to really do with take away that you're selling the house. It has nothing to really do with it's just their beliefs. Yes, and it's who they are as people. But you just want that. You want to maximize the. I guess you want to be able to maximize the best you possibly can to sell this house. So you're going to be able to have to relate to them as much as possible. So like I feel like if you came in, you're all messy, and you're like, for sure, have a lesser chance to sell a house.
For sure. And then there's always the argument. It's like, well, what if they like that?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you want to be the best version of yourself, right? But you also want to be, take away, like I said, you want to take away any sort of little roadblocks you might have that might be getting in the way of you making a relationship with this human being. Because unfortunately, us as human beings, we will instantly make a judgment on this human being based on a few characteristics, a few seconds of like seeing them, their presentation, anything like that. Yeah. So you want to take away any roadblocks there that in those first initial seconds.
Big time.
Right? So that you can get over that and get in and build a relationship. Because once you're in and you're building a relationship with somebody and they know you, then it's just like, you can peel back that and be more and more. You can open up 100%. But it's just the ability to take it back. And I mean that in a way like if roadblocks don't necessarily have to be that way, but it can also be your confidence. It can also be the way that you start a sentence, the way that you talk. Like all these sorts of things, like door knocking will expose that for sure. If you're even like a little bit hesitant at the start when you're, the first open, if you're even that for a second, they're gonna instantly be like, no,
exactly.
But if you step back, you open up, you start with a smile, you do these things, you do it all right that first second. If you get that first 2 seconds right, then you know that you're going to be given at least another couple more seconds, right? Which you're just playing for a little bit more time, so you can just let this little bit of a relationship start to form. Yeah. Because it's all about buying those few seconds, right? By not being your own worst enemy, right? Yeah. You want to get yourself out of your own way, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I just had an idea for a book.
Yeah, talk to me.
I've got 2 ideas for a book, and I would love to experiment with them, and then down the track, like live it, but then write it. So one of them off this is I don't know, the book might already exist. The First 3 Seconds. It should be called The First 3 Seconds, right? Yep. And it should be like chapters about confidence, about like your personality or image or how you talk, how you articulate things and all that kind of stuff in the first 3 seconds. Yes. I feel like, because that's a big one, I notice it a lot too, is in the first 3 seconds, usually when someone walks into a barbershop, I can notice how they're going to interact with me because I've experimented so many times with people coming in. When someone walks into a room, right, you'll notice if they're confident or not by the way they enter a room.
It's the energy.
I see it a lot with younger teenagers, boys and stuff like that, and it's totally understandable because they're still trying to find their place in the world, and they're kind of walking a little bit lost,
like just a bit shy,
slow, and I don't know where to kind of stand and stuff like that. And then I go, "Hey man, you can take a seat like on the couch." And they go, "Oh, okay, sweet, cool," because they've always been told to what to do from their parents.
Yeah, for sure.
But I see it also bleed into people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Men will come in, and it's not just men, but humans in general.
Yeah, well, you're a barber, so you cut more.
Yeah, cut more men. But like the thing is, I'll notice going on this, those first 3 seconds is like, sometimes, like the other day, for example, I was cutting this guy's hair, and I kind of turned around, and there was this couple outside. They were probably in their late 50s, 60s, early 60s, and they were kind of just staring at me, like
From outside.
This
Right.
is down at Terrigal, the shop, the shop there, and I was just like, I've experienced this a lot.
Right.
I notice when someone wants to speak to me,
Okay. Yep.
but they won't come up and directly, like, because they're kind of like, oh, he's cutting hair, so they'll just kind of wait. But I turned around and I said, hey guys, how you doing? And they're kind of like, ha, you know. And then the guy was kind of like standing there, and I noticed this a lot with especially older people. Like the woman kind of takes charge. It's the same kind of like situation when, like, you know, men don't really make phone calls for reservations or doctors or stuff like that. They get the wife to do that kind of stuff because they're too nervous to kind of talk or organize things. I don't know if you've ever experienced this before.
I don't have that.
Yeah, but like
it's always me.
No,
I get you. I get you. No, I get you.
This right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And this is just an observation. This is not like a mean thing. This is just like what I observe, and it kind of like
it's an astute observation.
Yeah, and anyway, so with this example, they were out the front, and then they'll kind of. I was like, "Hey, how you going, guys?" And then they're kind of like, just kind of like smiled and kind of like, "Yeah, whatever." And I was like, I know that they wanted to ask me something, but I just waited, and I turned around to my friend. I was just like, I bet you they want to ask for a haircut, but they just like, just don't know, whatever. And then I turn around, and it's like, oh, can I help you guys? Like, you know, because that's the initial thing when I first said it.
Yep.
And then she just kind of like pointed to her husband's hair. I was just like, haircut? And I was like, is this a real way of communicating? Like, you could have just come in and be like, hey guys, have you got time? Sorry to interrupt. Have you got time for a haircut?
Yeah.
And I could have been like, oh no, sorry, I'm fully booked out, which I was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that whole interaction was one, it was very awkward. There was no confidence. And
I can see it now.
Do you know what I mean?
I do know
and
what you
I'm
mean.
like, in that situation, that first 3 minutes, I could judge their relationship, who he was, how she was, from that interaction.
Oh, 100%.
And you know who wears the pants in that relationship? It's her. Yeah. She's the one that controls everything. And he just kind of goes, he'd be that one that's just like, yes, dear. Oh, yeah, the misso makes the plans and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it all, yet again, not a bad thing. It just, I feel like some people, not just men, not just women, all humans, right, have these circumstances, especially when they are in relationships for so long or in situations for so long, they just become they lose. I feel like they lose themselves as human beings. And then when you try and interact them, that's when I feel like, especially when they're a bit older, they've already made up their mind of how the world works and how the world is. Yeah. Going back onto when you have to be careful and you become a chameleon with. That's why I feel like now I'm a bit of a chameleon with everyone. I can talk to anyone at any age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regardless, and I think they look past my tattoos.
Yeah.
So they do make that perception of the world. So when they see someone with tattoos, or they see someone that isn't presented confidently, or isn't, they're kind of like slouching or whatever it is, they'll make a judgment and be like, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's just instinctual, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's an observation. It's interesting. And I think, like, adding that story there as well, too, just to understand how important it is for those 3 seconds. If you're meeting someone new, or if you're going to a new place, look, you don't have to come out of the gate being fucking like, I'm the best fucking shit ever, but at least have intent with what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's, if you do that, then it's just bullshit energy, right?
Yeah.
You want to have authentic energy, right? You can't fake it, because we as human beings, we're so sensitive to these things.
Big time.
You're gonna know. You're gonna know. That's why, you have to train it like a muscle. Like you said, it has to come up from within, genuinely and authentically. And a lot of people don't have it because they've never trained that muscle.
No.
And if you've never trained a muscle, the muscle has no reason to grow.
Exactly.
Right. So you're never gonna have that ability to exude confidence or walk into a place and confidently speak to somebody, because you've never trained that muscle. You've always avoided training the muscle, so it's always going to be weak. Like you said, people come up and just go like, haircut. That happens, it happens all the time in real estate, right? Like, I have an open home.
How's the market, mate?
Oh, not even that, bro. Like, like people will come in.
House for sale?
Yeah. People will come in and, for better or worse, they have these perceptions of real estate agents, right? Which unfortunately isn't fantastic, as we all know.
Mm.
But that's because the bar, right, is so low. Like the bar to entry is so low. Like I just have to do a certificate and I'm in, you know. And that's the unfortunate thing. That's a whole nother topic. But people will come into your open home, see you there, and
It's gone black on the video. That's right.
you're good.
Yeah, we're all
Okay.
good.
People come into your open home and walk around, see you as an agent, say hi. Not everybody's like this. Some people just want to be, they're friendly and they're energetic and they chat with you and stuff like that. But a lot of people will come in and sort of look at you like, you know, if they speak with you, you're going to do some Jedi mind trick and they're going to unfortunately buy the house.
Yeah.
If they speak for you for a second, you're going to trick them into buying the house.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of energy they come in with. And
Oh,
so they
for
sort of
sure.
like shirk around you and you're like, hey, how's it going? They go, well, I'm all right. I'm just looking. I'm just looking. And it's like, I was like, okay, bro, it's all right. Jeez, I'm not gonna, you know. They come in with that type of energy. It's like, it's okay. Don't worry, man. It's all right. You just have a look around, see how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. But people will do that.
I get that.
And the thing you've got to recognize though is these perceptions that are already there in front of you, these roadblocks that are already going to be there in front of you, and you're going to have you have to learn how to get around those sorts of things. And so a lot of that, you know, comes through what I learned. Perfect example is like the way you dress, right? In real estate, you know, the typical suit tie type of thing is great, and you know, you present it well. But unfortunately, a lot of people at an open home will come in, see a guy suit and tie, and they'll be so even more reserved than they have to be already, or even more reserved than they already are, right? By seeing you dress like that, and they'll close up even more so. So what I found is that if I dress a bit more relaxed, a bit more, you know, open,
business casual.
yeah, like just a bit more casual, I can have more conversations with people. And what I get from my conversations, right, is a better service to my client, my vendor, right? If I'm able to have more conversations on behalf of my vendor, the better it is going to be for my client. So I need to have that front and center. Is like, how can I service better? How can I service better? You know? And then it's just like you realize that by the way people interact with you. And you're like, okay, I need to take this off. And then all of a sudden people are a bit more relaxed around you and are more willing to open up and are more willing to get, and they're more willing to sort of like dive into what they're actually looking for, why they're actually here today.
I want to add some context to that because I wanted to think of like,
talk it through.
I think, would you agree it's a demographic though that you would do that in?
Nah,
like,
there's
let's
definitely
give an example, right? So
for sure.
Gavin
Like,
Rubinstein,
right?
Dude down there, like watching Lux listing, right?
For sure.
Of course, he has to wear a nice suit. He has to drive a nice car because he's selling multi-million-dollar houses, right? So these kind of clientele would appreciate someone that was more.
Yes. So this client,
Would you agree to that?
Oh no! So what I'm saying is you have to be perceptive of the people that are coming in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And so that can be translated anywhere, right? So the people that are coming in front of me, they respond better by me being this certain way.
Yeah.
Now, if the people were coming in front of me, that are coming in front of Gavin, which are typically multi-millionaire business people,
different demographic,
they respond better because they're more used to people that dress like that and act like that. That's their environment they're commonly used to. People that are coming into homes like on the Central Coast, they're more used to interacting with human beings that just wear shorts and a t-shirt, you know, at the beach.
That's
you know,
the
just
difference.
really
I just want to
casual
type
of people.
on.
That's 100%.
Because like just to give context, because like then it's like okay, you can understand like. I mean, you could probably sell a multi-million-dollar house if it depends on your client, right? It depends on who the person is. Like, if the person is got $100 million in the bank, but they're more casual.
Yes.
If you're coming hard with this rigid suit and stuff like that, it might kind of like create 100%. A barrier, right?
100%. So, with all these barriers, with all these perceptions, with all this stuff, everything comes back. Everything in life in general actually comes back and being self-aware, right? You need to be self-aware enough that you can get past your own perceptions and actually put yourself into the mind of other human beings around you so that you can perceive how things are being perceived, and you can be so aware about your environment and things that are happening it's like ultra instinct, right? Like Goku,
Yeah, it
like
is, yeah.
like you're so attuned to what's happening around you that you can respond and pivot and move around that environment
Yeah.
because you're not in your own way. You need to
Yeah.
get yourself out of your own way. You need to do a lot of self work from whatever it might be that
Yeah.
you're struggling with or anything like that
Yeah.
gets yourself out of your own way, so that you can be the best version of yourself for any human being that comes in front of you.
It's a skill to have.
100%
and I
is a
think,
skill.
man, having the conversation is so relatable.
Yes.
You've got to, in a way, become a chameleon. You can't say, for instance, when you're talking
Yeah.
to a 15-year-old or when you're talking to an 80-year-old, you can't talk to them the same way. You can't
Yes.
say, for instance, you're talking to your mate that's 25 about, like, you know, oh man, just got the fucking piss down at the bar and pub and stuff like that. Or then you go talk to an 80-year-old, you can't go, yeah, just got fucking pissed down at the bar. And
Yeah.
very rare occasions,
For
he
sure.
might be a loose 80-year-old, but you can't, because they're not going to be able to, one, comprehend that that's the language.
Yeah.
Great example is a video I did recently when I was cutting hair down in Terrigal. I was swearing a lot in the video.
Yes.
My grandmother is 81. I
Yes.
came home, she saw the video, and she's like, Nick, I have to talk to you. I'm like, what? She's like, you're swearing too much in that video. And I was like, that's how you relate. That's how, like, I have not had one comment on that video saying, you swear too much. But she, because of her different cultural beliefs, she just believes, like, swearing should just only be reserved for, like, you know, when you're really, really angry, or if you stub your toe, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, you've got to be, it's funny that you've got to kind of like adapt to that. And the next video I did, I kind of addressed it just as a comedic thing, and she loved it. So it's,
fantastic.
do you know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't so much like, I wasn't going to change myself as a person, but I was just going to adapt. So then
100%.
I could please her, not for like my benefit to be like, oh, I was insecure about what you're saying. I said, I'm not going to fucking change. Like, I'll swear. I don't care. Like, it's who I am.
Yes.
But that's just a prime example, an example of a skill that you need to have, especially if you're becoming a real estate agent or just in life.
Just as a human being.
Just as a human being, you need to be.
That's
like
the
that.
thing. You know, it's not just being a chameleon, right? Because that means, like, you know, I changed myself to suit you. It's not that. It's I am aware of you. I am so far, like, you know, I am so secure, I'm so confident, I'm so built up, I'm so strong within myself that I can adapt to these situations to help and navigate through this and connect with this human being.
Yeah.
It's not that, you know, this person comes in and they're speaking in a particular accent, right? And
then you start,
start copying that accent. Like, it's not like that.
No.
It's like I have done so much work within myself that I'm so confident and so self-assured in myself that whoever steps in front of me, I am able to build a relationship with this human being.
Yeah.
And so this is a great pivot to talk about what this whole entire, you know, for humans is, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all for the human being.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you want to touch on it now or anything like that, but like what we were speaking about.
I just
like,
want to quickly
yeah,
add
you
on
go,
something,
please.
because like, I think we're getting to the end of this podcast because I feel like we could talk for years.
Yeah, I'll get you.
Which is fantastic. But I think, like, just going on that, not so much as you're saying, chameleon, all that kind of stuff. Relating back to the start when he was talking about becoming an actor.
Yeah.
Or you were acting, right?
Yeah.
I've heard this many stories before, and I think you've probably heard this before. Is like when actors act so much as, like, say, for instance, relating to the previous Elvis movie. I don't know if you've seen it with Austin Butler and stuff like that. He became Elvis.
Right.
And he acted as Elvis. His voice changed as a person, you know what I mean? But he changed himself to fit that role so people could connect to being like, that's Elvis on screen. But he also then had to disconnect and be so sure of who he is as a person that he had to become Austin Butler again. And I feel like, sometimes you have to take the hat off at the end of the day to be like, this is still me as a human being, but I have these different hats that I can play throughout the day to get to the places that I need to get to. Because you have to. Sometimes when you're running a business, for instance, you have to put the hat on of being a manager. You have to put the hat on of being a worker. And you have to be the person to play these roles in life, especially creating relationships, right? There's certain times that, you know, we've got the, you know, podcast hat on right now.
Yeah.
But, you know, as soon as we crack open a beer or have some wine or whatever it is, or do something in that circumstance, it's a different type of hat.
Yeah.
We're not going to be talking like this we could, but
I get you. I get you. It's a completely different
like
environment.
It's going to be a bit more relaxed, a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
what I think all this relates to perfectly, right, is the idea that us as human beings, we have, for whatever reason, we've really lost touch with what's so important in life. And what's important in life is making connections and relationships with other human beings.
Yeah.
This, no matter what you do in life, no matter, where you're from in life, the most important thing in life is always going to be your relationships that you create with other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important. What we were talking about the other day when we first got together to talk about doing this was that your whole idea, your whole thesis, your whole vision for the, for humans brand, is, so to speak, is this whole coming together and connection of the human beings, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if you want to touch on that vision a little bit here, and just tell people like what is your scope, what's this vision, like where do you want to take this, and I guess what can people expect from from coming here and listening to this and interacting with this community?
Of course, like this isn't the start. This has already been in motion already. You know what I mean? Which is great, but I think where this vision kind of wants to go is just connecting people and adding as much value as possible to people's lives to just better it. Like to be able to have a place where you can come consume content, attend events, if you live locally, to just gain value and experience and also connect with people, not just like-minded, but just people of all different ages and experiences and genders and stuff like that, because that's all it should be about in life, is just connecting with the right people. Like not just connecting with the right people, but having experiences, having situations where you can get into rooms with people and you might, come to one of our events that we would like to plan down the track, and you meet someone there and you become long life friends, or you find a girlfriend, or you find a boyfriend, or you find a business partner, or you find someone that you just like riding motorbikes with, or this or that. And without those situations, you're not going to be able to find that. I think connecting people together is one massive goal of mine, because I feel like that's a bit of a strong suit for me. I actually have connected maybe 2 or 3 people in relationships before. I actually lost the best friend over it.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like we don't speak anymore. Like if I called him up, I'm sure he was my best man at my wedding, right?
Wow.
I haven't actually told this story publicly, and Kieran, I love you, dude, but this is what's happened. I connected a blind date with my best mate because he was like, he wants a relationship and stuff like that. And this girl came and got a haircut, and I just sat there and I was just like, I've been in this situation before. And I was like, look, I've got a friend, because she was like telling me a bit of her situation. It's kind of like connecting the dots between her 2 houses, right? Or 2 this, that.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I've got a friend. Let me set this up. I don't want to have a bit of fun. I'm going to do a blind date. I want you guys to meet. This was 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, right? They're still together. Right?
Wow.
But Kieran and I stopped talking. Like he just, her and...
because they sunk so much into the relationship?
Into each other,
they just got absorbed.
They got absorbed and stuff like that. And I think, I've gone down this path in my life. He's gone that way and stuff like that. And it happens, you know what I mean? It's not no bad blood. We've had heaps of fun, and we used to go to school together and stuff like that. But the thing is, I'm so grateful that I was able to connect him with that person. I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm like, I got you guys together, because it's like, I just presented the opportunity there. And it's the same with other things. Like I've gotten people jobs and stuff like that, because I just think like, oh, you need this. Here's this opportunity. Please come here. You know what I mean?
So it's synthesizing this whole microcosm of you being the connection here and expanding it out to the broader community, so that people can be their own like sort of connection.
Exactly right.
You can be a bigger facilitator in that, right? It's just this whole community can now, because that's what we've all lost, right? We've all lost the ability to connect with new people.
Exactly right.
It's like people go haircut. They can't communicate. It's just
yeah, exactly right.
But they don't have that space.
That's the big vision. And I think like as I've been explaining to Zac here as well, we will. Yet again, you've got to kind of think of it like a business as well, because you can't just kind of just free dilly dally. Like to be able to create effect and create.
Oh, you need structure, you need purpose,
you need plan and purpose and stuff like that. So with that, big announcement. Zac has now come along on board, which is very
Yes,
exciting. Which
am.
you probably already put 2 and 2 together.
Yes.
Connections. He's come on board to help myself and the 4 humans and the vision, and we're going to work on this together. And we're going to be the facilitators for this.
Yes.
He's good at bringing people together for his life. I feel like I'm good at that as well.
Absolutely.
And we're just going to hone in that skill. Create content through podcast just to start with, probably for the rest of the year. I was thinking other contents and stuff like that, but I think just real hone in that. Connect you guys with people and through podcasts with like interviewing people and discussing and stuff like that. And hopefully we'll do one event for this year. I feel like that would be a goal.
That'd be fantastic.
One big
honestly.
event.
Yeah.
Where we can connect people together. And then from there, just keep growing and facilitating that and
Absolutely.
refining that vision, right?
And it's just all about just bringing people together, because you and I have seen all value in life is through meeting and building relationships with other human beings.
Yes.
And so it's taking that idea of like, okay, if this is like where like just massive amounts of, I want to look for a better word than value, but
yeah.
you know, if this is where like I can just change my entire life by meeting one person, right? Like it's that powerful.
You can. You honestly can.
You can. If it's that powerful on that small of a scale, imagine like the benefits for everybody here in the Central Coast. Just imagine if everybody like could go to the shops and they knew everybody around there, and like they had a problem and they go, oh man, you know, I'm just really struggling with this, and they go, huh, that's so funny you say that. I met just such and such yesterday at the For Humans event. This is what he does. Let me just, this would be perfect. And like, you know, things like that.
100.
You could just like steamroll it.
It's like that, like, you know what I mean? Like if you don't know someone will know someone. And of course there's so much example, but I think right now there's so much example in the Central Coast where it's like, if you don't know, if I've never met you before, but you know someone that I know, that's how it works, right? And we all want to be a part of a community, like to the core of who we are as humans. We want a sense of belonging and sense of community. And I think creating that and having the 4 humans as a vehicle to kind of just hone that in and just really kind of like be open to everyone, but hone in our vision of just being like connecting people and just creating events where people can just add value. Like it doesn't have to always just be mental health. It can be physical health. It can be we can get to the path of like, you know, wanting to buy your first home or saving money or you know, self-care or whatever. Like we can have just guest speakers about anything. Just
friendships, right?
Exactly
like so many people like just like, you know, not that many people nowadays have like real genuine friends. No. You know what I mean? And like, where do you go to meet new friends? Like, you know, like where's like, you know, you could go do a bunch of like courses or something maybe like that you're interested in, but there's no like real hub where you could just go like, you know, that thing's happening this weekend. Maybe I'll go there and I can meet some people. Yeah. You know, I remember back in the day, like just when I was going to shows, like going to bands and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know if you ever experienced like going to Oasis at Wild and stuff like that. It used to be like hardcore bands and stuff. That was a close-knit community. Yeah. Yeah. You'd make friends all the time there. 100%. Like you just make friends and like MySpace friends and all this kind of stuff, and then you just be like catch up and go to shows and be like, yo, it's good to see you again, man. That's all fizzled out. That scene doesn't exist. Even just music-wise, like, and I mean, like, I'm sure there is scenes that I'm not a part of because I just don't kind of like resonate with. For sure. But I feel like as an overview thing, there's not much of that going on anymore. No, definitely not anymore. That's for sure. And it's like a real life connection, you know? Yeah, like a genuine real life thing, you know? And I think if anybody's really recognized this past couple of years is like how important and how much we as human beings rely and depend on for not only our mental health, but just, you know, for the goodness of our souls, right? Yeah. It's just our connection with other human beings, physically with other human beings, and like feeling each other's energy when you're having that communication like with each other. You know, so many people, I think people that have never thought about it before in the last couple of years have really thought about it now. Big time. Like big time. They're really like, whoa, I didn't realize like how much I really enjoyed, such and such, things like that, or that
big
that
time.
connection with human beings.
Big
Yeah.
time.
So I think it's such a beautiful, bright future, like for this whole thing.
For sure.
And I think your
Yeah.
vision is incredible, which is
Appreciate
why I'm
you.
here. When we were
To help
talking, like
facilitate it,
I
yeah.
really think, that is exactly what is needed.
Yeah.
And I think that's so fantastic that you've put this into motion, and I'm so excited
Appreciate
to jump on board and help propel it forward. And and I really look forward to meeting other human beings that want to propel it forward and forward.
I'm sure.
Everything's a snowball.
Exactly right.
Everything's a snowball.
Yeah.
Everything.
100%. And I think not just finding the right people, but like finding the right people really, like, is
I get you.
to facilitate it. And especially if you've got a big vision and there's,
Yes.
there's only so much you can do yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I think,
We talk forever.
hey, that's good. I think next podcast we'll do is probably going to be with a guest, which is sexy. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Wicked. Thanks, heaps. Appreciate you all. Appreciate your time.